all the transactions, all the cars, all the Rolexes, it's all bullshit. Real wealth, guys, is health. Because at the end of the day, the CEO gets buried right next to the janitor. And like, we're not taking it with us. So I believe live your life to the fullest. We have an opportunity. We should take advantage of that so we can live a high quality of life and provide that for our friends, our family, and create a legacy. But don't get obsessed with the money and the nice things, because we can't take it with us. If you can get it, get it. If it makes you happy, do it. You know? So you're right. I agree with you. Real wealth is your health, 1,000%. Because ask a healthy person what success is, and often they'll tell you more money. But ask a sick person what wealth is, and the only thing a sick person wants is to be healthy. That's it.
Yeah. World-class lessons from the real estate industry's top 1%, empowering agents to think bigger and do more to create life by design. Get access to exclusive interviews with top producing real estate professionals. Listen in as we talk about their journey into business, best practices, and lessons learned. Hosted by KIRO, NASRALAH, and John Scipione.
I mean, one thing that we always say in our office is just action is better than perfection, right?
This is Light It Up with Lighthouse Residential.
All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Light It Up podcast. We are super excited to have with us today Agent DK out of Ottawa, Canada. He runs a team of seven members, 5 agents, 2 admin. And this year, they're on track to do about $165 million in overall sales volume. Agent DK, thanks so much for being here, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to this. It's going to be fun.
Hell yeah, man.
Awesome. So how do you say your name, your full name?
I say Dimitris Kalogeropoulos. You would say Dimitrios Kalogeropoulos.
Yeah, I would probably say a much worse version of that, but
you'd probably just say DK.
That's why I'm pretty psyched to just be able to say DK.
It kind of sucks never to be called by your actual name, because Carlos NASRALAH is impossible for normal people to pronounce. I got called Carlos, Kirejos.
Yeah, but you got a little like, you know, I hear you on the phone all the time. KIRO like hero, right? Like, but I don't have anything catchy like that.
I get it. You know, it sucks.
What background is KIRO? What background is KIRO?
So here's the bullshit. I thought that I was half Greek and half Egyptian this whole time. I did a 23andMe test. I'm 100% Egyptian. My grandma was lying to me this whole time. She has yet to be confronted.
Do you speak Arabic?
Yeah, I speak fluent Arabic. Like some words here and there in Greek, and that's it. Just enough for me to.
Kifik.
كيف حالك يا اخبارك? But I'm Coptic Orthodox, so if you know, it's a mixture of a Greek and ancient Egyptian mix. So.
Alhamdulillah, good.
Alhamdulillah. All right, sweet. Let's jump into it.
All right. As you know, we like to start with the lightning round. This is a round of, let's say, 5 questions, totally unrelated to real estate, that will hopefully put you on the spot and, you know, get the conversation flowing a little bit here. So we'll let KIRO lead.
All right. So this is in the event of the shirt. So who was your worst boss?
Who was my worst boss? You want the name?
No, just like you could say the situation it was in.
It was a manager when I used to work in the electronics business. This guy led with fear.
Skyler, I am the danger.
And this guy led with authoritarian sort of leadership. And, you know, back then when it was 100% commission, just like real estate was, but people would scoop you. So like, let's say it was my day off and like somebody would steal my sale. It's called scooping. And then you go to that salesperson, you're like, you fucking scooped me. And you go to the manager, he'd be like, just go screw him back. That was his policy. Like someone screws you, you screw him back. Because if we weren't fighting, he wasn't making money in his eyes. That was the environment that he wanted to create. So in my opinion, he was the worst person I've ever worked for. And this is before real estate. Wow. But if anything, it showed me what not to be. So it was just crazy. He was just the devil.
The devil!
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into the detail about my worst boss ever, but I would say the person that comes to mind certainly comes to mind often. And I certainly try to model my leadership skills based on what they did not do. So
yeah,
I think that
it's a gift in disguise.
Yeah. All right. Name a deal breaker for you in a relationship.
A deal breaker for me in a relationship is when I can't be my true self. In other words, if you ask me, how's it going? If I feel that I have to lie to you to make you feel better about yourself, then I don't think we're going to make good friends or make good company. And unfortunately that happens in life. Like, you have friends for a reason, friends for a season, friends for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's just human nature for some people where you're happy for people to the extent that you're at the same level. But once you start, quote, surpassing them, maybe financially or, home or car wise, whatever, they start to treat you differently. Like, you don't change, you're growing and you're adapting and you're evolving, but they change the way they treat you. So like, if that happens, we're probably done with our journey of being, friends or whatever that may be. So if I can't be my authentic self, if I feel like I can't celebrate my wins and losses with you, then we're done.
Yeah. And that's a big deal because I remember in one of the retreats when we were at the executive club and we were talking about your R8 and not exposing it for that specific reason. So I guess we can get
good memory, man.
That's
a good memory, man. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I guess you and I won't be friends anymore because I'm upset with you after you bought that Lamborghini. Dude,
well, I bought a Lamborghini from John Sai, so you can get mad at him.
You bought it from him?
Yeah, it's his car.
Oh, wow.
Don't they say never sell cars to your friends?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I got a good deal.
I would buy John Sai's Lamborghini. I know he took good care of it. I mean, the thing's in a garage every night. It's in mint condition, I'm sure.
He's so analytical. He barely drove the fucking thing. He just had it for Instagram and TikTok. It was great.
And the wheel gap's good too.
Hey, no wheel gap, John Sai.
EXP Realty.
All right. What's your guiltiest pleasure?
Man, I don't know. Like, I like food. I like junk food. Like, I don't know what my guilty pleasure is.
I think that's okay.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I lead a pretty healthy lifestyle. Like, maybe cigars. Like, I don't know.
Nice.
I don't have one. That's a lame answer. I don't have a good answer for you guys.
It wasn't a good question either, so I'll make it up with the next one.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Pass.
Name something non-sexual that turns you on. That's something I've always wanted to know about DK.
You know what really turns me on is going into a room where I'm not known, or like, I just like, I don't want to be the attention in that room, but there's a lot of powerful people in that room. That really gets me excited. I don't know if you want to use the word turned on, but it gets me really excited. Sometimes when you go into an environment where some people know you, it can be, it's different because they're asking you all the questions, and it's great and it's very complimentary. But sometimes I want to be the student asking all the questions, learning, just observing. Sure. And I don't have to be as on. So I like that's why I like going to networking things or like functions where, I can just observe and learn from people that are at a higher level than me. That gets me really going.
Nice. I like that one. Okay. So if you could invite 3 people to dinner, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Michael Jordan, David Goggins.
Nice.
Right? And Tim Grover.
Like that.
Yeah. I think that would be a solid dinner.
Yeah. Those are all
I'm pretty sure they all knew each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Grover's a guy. I think I stalk Grover on, I'm blowing up Grover's DMs every day trying to get him on here. One day you will see Tim Grover. All right, last question. Fill in the blank. Men need to do better at what?
Not succumbing to the pressure to not be men. So like there's a huge problem now in the world where it's like a negative thing being a strong man. Like masculinity is nothing to be ashamed of. I think there's power in being a strong male figure for your family, for your community, for yourself. So having the courage to own that and to know what that means, to live with respect, to hold your head up high, to be able to walk into a room with, holding your head up high because you know that you have a good name, and to work your ass off to provide for your family. And I think that's a very honorable way to live and to be.
I think that's a great answer.
Yeah, that is a really good answer. Which is actually really good because it helps us segue into the beginning. In terms of being in your masculinity and being a provider, you had a rather quick start in the real estate industry compared to others. Can you just share the journey? I know that I think it was by year 3, things were cranking and you were doing a lot of different things, but can you just share how you started and up to where you are now?
Yeah, first year I made like $50,000. Second year, not that much more. Third year was like 300. And then I think I had a repeat like 350, and then it went to like 800, and then it went to $1 million. So I had like quantum leaps afterwards. What seemingly seemed like a fast start, I've been selling since I was 18 years old, man. So like I was selling since I was a kid. My parents had restaurants, and my dad used to send me as a kid to the table to sell the customers drinks because they were drinking water. And he'd be like, water doesn't pay the bills. And I'd be like this 7-year-old walking to the table, be like, hey, can you buy a drink? And they're like, oh, we're drinking water. I'm like, water doesn't pay the bills. And they'd laugh and buy a drink. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like what seemingly looks on the outside like it took me it didn't take me that long. I've been selling since I was 18 years old, hustling my whole life, because grew up in a not so financially stable environment, grew up with immigrant parents that weren't highly educated, but they were hard ass workers. So yeah, I guess in real estate, maybe, 3-4 years is making it. But like I paid my dues selling, thousands and thousands of electronics, since I was 18 years old. That's all I ever did was be a salesman. I've never had a normal job. I've always been 100% commission. So I think that's why it seemingly looked like I had a quick go at real estate, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And you had I remember one of the videos you posted recently. It was you in your car after door knocking, and I think you were sending it to your coach at the time. I think it was Tony. Don't know if it was Tony Smith or someone, another Tony. That's when you first started?
That's when I started up with Mike Ferry. So like I was in Toronto at the time, didn't know anybody, had no database, had a kid, had a big house, paying my mom's bills, paying my dad's bills. I needed fucking money. So like my brokerage at the time was doing Brian Buffini stuff, and they're like, go deliver pumpkins to people. I'm like, A, do I look like a fucking guy who delivers pumpkins? B, who the fuck am I going to bring a pumpkin to? I don't know anybody. So I think his system works, and I think it's good for cultivating what you already have, a database. But what if you don't have one? So I heard about Mike Ferry, and this guy's like, if you want to get a deal in the next 7 to 10 days, I'm like, that's my jam. I need a deal now. So yeah, you know what's funny? When I watched that video back, I got emotional. I felt like it was yesterday. Legit. I remembered my ears being frostbitten. I remembered it like it was yesterday, because I still door knock now. Legit. Like I'm in Florida now for a bit, but just before I came here, I was door knocking and I was freezing again. And I do that on purpose to stay humble and to remember where I came from and to never forget those moments, because, it's, I think it's important to remember where you come from. But that was a very powerful day for me, because I did that video for him, but I did it for me. Like I was on the brink of breaking, mentally, emotionally. I was so successful selling TVs, and then I got into real estate thinking I'd be a fucking killer, and I sucked. At least in my opinion, I made $50,000. I made 100 selling TVs. So I'm like, fuck. I felt like Michael Jordan playing baseball. I felt like a superstar in the wrong sport. I'm like, maybe I should go back to selling TVs and taking shit from that asshole agent in that fucking shitty store. And that's just the way life is supposed to be for me. Maybe that's all I was meant to do. Maybe I'm not meant for the greatness that I always wanted for myself. I was thinking these things. I was having those doubts. But then I was like, fuck that. No, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going, So that was a very powerful day for me. It was a very emotional day and powerful day.
What was it that you'd say pushed you to keep going and to power through?
Bro, I'm just persistent, man. I got grit like a motherfucker. I'm focused and I'm obsessed. Super focused people seem odd or seem money hungry or seem crazy to people who aren't focused, who live their lives unconsciously and just walk around 9 to 5. They go to Cancun for a week, they come home, and that's life. And they look at people like us who want more, who believe that they deserve more, and they push for it, and they work 12, 14, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week at first to get going. That seems crazy to some people, but that's necessary. Okay, I didn't have to do those things, but I also didn't have to buy a house for my mom, right? I didn't have to buy a Lamborghini. I didn't have to do those things. I wanted those things. And I knew that if I wanted those things, I'd have to do more than what I was currently doing. So I think I don't give up. And that's the secret to my success. I'm relentless. Like, you better change your phone number or move, because I'm going to keep calling you until you you tell me to fuck off, or you've sold your house with someone else. I am not giving up. I'll follow up with you 25 times. I just won't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that being raised in an immigrant household was part of your success? Do you think that gave you some of your persistence, some of your relentlessness?
Do I think? I know.
Yeah.
You know that I'm blessed. I am so blessed. When I was a kid, I was pissed. I was pissed and jealous of guys that had like family businesses, and they were just getting handed businesses, and they were going on family vacations, and they had nice lives. They all looked so happy. And we had never had any money. We were always broke. We had one bathroom and everybody fought to use it. Like, it was tough. It was fucking tough because they never had money, my parents, and they were always fighting about that. And I'm legit, that quote, hard time. You know that quote? I'm going to read. You guys read this. Hard times create strong men. Yeah. Strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Well, I grew up with hard times. And that's why I think I'm a strong man, because I'm not afraid of anything. I have nothing to lose. That's just always been my mentality, because I was already so low that I could only go up. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So 1,000%, I'm blessed to have come from immigrant parents who worked their asses off. And, my mom, if she had $5, we'd walk past a homeless person, she'd give it to him. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, that's okay. We have food to eat. They don't have anything. We have a roof over our heads. So like, and I also saw that side of my parents. They were very giving, even though they didn't have much to give. So I'm blessed, man. It's ironic, because when I was a kid, I was like angry and I was pissed and jealous. And now I look back, I'm like, thank God, because I know how to work. I know how to have work ethic and treat people with respect. And I think that that's what's gotten me to where I am. I owe everything to my parents, everything.
Yeah. I love that. I resonate with that so much, because my parents are immigrants as well. And you feel a level of sacrifice that they've done. So you're like, what am I doing? Am I fucking around here? Like, they sacrifice so much, so I owe it to them to do X, Y, Z more than they've ever wanted. So like there's a weight on your shoulder that you need to actually fulfill. So that's beautiful. I love that.
100%.
So what's your relationship with your parents like today? I mean, are they, retired? Are they still, it sounds like they're probably still working, grinding.
Yeah, my mother was a waitress for 40 years. The proudest day of my life was not buying that car, was buying her a house. And I bought her a car too. And it's funny because I'm like, here you go. She's like, what's this? She's like, it's not a Mercedes. I'm like, no, it's a Civic. Just take the friggin' car. It's free. So I always joke around about that kind of stuff, but it's a true story. My mom went through hell. My parents are separated. They never had a good marriage since I was a kid. But like, perspective is everything. Again, that was a blessing, because I knew that I didn't want that, and I knew that I wanted better for my family, for me growing up, and they did the best they could, and I always had love. No matter what was going on between them, there was always a lot of love given to me and my sister. So my mom was the one that was putting food on the table, because my dad was a hardworking chef, working 7 days a week, hard ass worker, but he had a gambling problem. So because of that, we never had money. So because of that, they always fought. So if it wasn't for my mom being a waitress, we wouldn't even have food on the table sometimes. So my relationship with my parents, I am who I am because of them. Again, for my dad, I had a conflicting feeling about him for years because of his problem. And then I grew up and I became a man, and I said, okay, I forgive him because he did the best he could. He did the best he could. And that's his way. Like that was his upbringing, and that's what he gave, what he was taught. And then I became a dad, and then I got upset again, because I'm like, all the feelings come back, because you're like, shit, now I'm a dad and I know how much I love my kids. But then I forgave him again, and I take care of him. He's in a nursing home. I cover all his bills. I take care of everything. And I go see him, and, I want to make the rest of his years comfortable. And all that matters to me is how my kids see me treating grandpa, because that matters. Legacy matters, and they have to have respect. And like I say, he did the best he could. So I take care of them. I love them dearly. And all that matters is how my kids see me treating grandma and grandpa. That's very, very important to me, because I feel like that's something missing in society right now is respect for elders, respect for where you come from. That's very important to me.
100%.
I named my first son after my dad, if that shows you anything.
Shows a lot.
Because I believe in tradition. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've never called my grandpa by his name. It was always like Giddo, which is in Arabic, like grandpa and grandma. Like when my grandpa passed away, I was like, what was his middle name? like I don't even know what his middle name was. It's just because it was just like etiquette to just call him grandma, grandpa, which is pretty interesting. A thought came in my mind. One of the first MFO retreats that I actually, so in the Mike Ferry retreats, when you're sitting in the front rows, that means that you're like one of the top producers. So DK was sitting in the front. I had the balls to walk up to DK. I was just like, oh, he's Greek. It'll be like, mano y mano. So I walk up to him and I was just like, hey man, I need your advice. Like, I'm struggling hiring an assistant. Do you remember what you responded back to me saying? So
no, I'm sorry, I don't, but I'm dying to hear this.
It was a 2-part question. You're like, number 1, do you come from money? I'm like,
I said,
no.
okay.
Yeah. I'm like, no. He's just like, then why are you struggling to hire an assistant? I'm like, I don't know. Just like, I don't know about the process. He's like, all right, look at everybody in the front. I'm like, He's like, every person you speak to equals what? Do you remember? Now, 1 transaction. Every person you speak to equals 1 more transaction. So go out and speak to everybody you can. And that stuck with me. And that's when I became a social whore at those events. So thank you.
Beautiful. That's something smart.
Yeah,
you never know with me.
But that goes back to what you were saying in the beginning about enjoying networking. And finding that being a very big benefit for you, and you get energized and get turned on when you're going into a room where you're going to learn from someone else. When did you realize that was like something that was you needed a part of? You need to be a part of that or around that.
I think that a sense of community is very important. I worked at a few places in the past where they had a strong culture, and I felt like at the brokerage I was at, I wasn't part of the culture because I was weird. Like they literally didn't know what to do with me. I was the only one prospecting. I was the only one cold calling and door knocking. No one else did that at my brokerage. It was like it was frowned upon. I was odd. I was literally made fun of for being salesy. I'm like, I thought that was our job. So like I heard of this community through someone, and I saw that everybody was sales focused, and I was like, shit, this is what I've been looking for. I've been looking, and everybody was so well dressed. And I remember being a kid telling my mom, I want to be a businessman. I want to wear nice suits. I want to wear nice clothes. We couldn't afford it back then, but I always dreamed of one day being a successful businessman wearing a nice suit. And, my grandfather, when he was alive, I only met him a few times, but he was proud of the way he dressed, like he took care of his car. It was always clean. It was always perfect. And he lived in a simple village home in Greece with goats and chickens. But like the man, like there was no dirt on his shoes. And I don't know if I take after him or what, but I always respected. That's what I mean about the whole being a strong man thing, like looking good, being presentable, speaking well, having a strong male presence, I think is important. And I just wanted to be part of a community like that. And when I got a taste of it, I was just like obsessed. And I know it's become sort of a running joke of everybody that's on stage now at Mike Ferry says, I used to sit at the back. I think I was the first fucking person that said that. And now 50,000 people have said I used to sit at the back. So, but legit, I did. And then one day I said to myself, since when do I sit at the back? Since when do I put myself down? He's a man, I'm a man. What's the difference? He's just got more experience than me. I'm going to go up to him and talk to him. And if he's an asshole, then that's on him. And they weren't. Most people were nice. Like that was my bullshit limiting beliefs, that I was afraid that they wouldn't treat me with respect or treat me nice. So I got over myself and I just got humble. I'm like, okay, yes, you were very good at selling TVs. You're not very good at selling real estate. So get good at it or get out. So I said, okay, I'm going to get good at this. I'm going to go and surround myself with people that are crushing it. And I know me, I'll be a sponge. I'll absorb what I can and I'll put it into my personality and hopefully it'll work and click. And that's what it did. So, very important to me. It was very important to me to be part of that community, and it still is.
Yeah. You said that earlier there was a couple quantum leaps after the, I think, third or fourth year. What was the source of that quantum leap for you?
The first one was when I went to Tony Robbins with my mastermind group. John was there and a few other guys. And we said, let's do a non-Mike Ferry thing that doesn't compete with Mike Ferry. So like not another coaching company, but we thought, let's do Tony Robbins because it was like a different sort of thing. So he did the one where you walk on fire.
UPW.
UPW, man, did I ever have limiting beliefs. And it's funny, they're at the part where they break you down before they make you walk on fire. So like, Tony's like, okay, everybody close your eyes, and the lights dim, and it's like and music and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And then he's like, okay, some people are gonna really start to cry and freak out. You gotta be like, don't go and help them. Like, don't run to them. They need their moment. I'm like, what is this shit? And then everyone closes their eyes and people start howling and screaming because they had real pain. Like there was people in there that had bad shit happen to them. And you know, but I was freaking out. I'm like, I don't belong here. And then all of a sudden I'm like, fuck it. I'm here. I paid to be here. I close my eyes and I'm like, oh shit. What's that? Oh. All of a sudden I start bawling. Like all this shit. I'm like, someone called me fat when I was 3, you know, whatever. And like all this shit came out of me. And I looked to my right and John's bawling. I looked to my left and Dave's bawling. We're all bawling. I'm like, what the hell's happening here? But I had a lot of limiting beliefs, man. Like as proud as I was to come from that immigrant, humble beginning, I think I know that I held myself back. Like, I used to tell myself all this crazy shit. Like I'll never be successful because my parents aren't educated. I'll never be successful because I come from my dad who was a gambler. I'll never be successful because I never finished university. Like I told myself all this shit. That's it. Legit. I let it go. I just let it go. I forgave my dad. I let it go. I stopped putting myself down because that's what I was doing, putting myself down. And the second I did that, it was like I was wearing a backpack with thousands of pounds and I just let it go and I just flew. Legit. It's the year I went from like, I don't know if that's the year I went from 300 to like 900. It was a quantum leap that year, like massive. And then another one, and then another one. And eventually you level off. Like you're not Superman. There's only so much one person can do. So then you got to scale and build a team. But as far as one person goes, I was crushing it. And there was no more limitations. There was no more bullshit stories. And that was it. It was a Tony Robbins thing. And that allowed me to become more coachable with my coach. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I used to hang up with my coach and I would lie. I would lie to my coach. They're like, did you do this? Yep. Did you do this? Oh yeah. Talk to 30 people. Okay, cool. Good for you. I'll talk to you next week. I'm like, why was I lying? You know, here I am paying for coaching. Yeah. And I'm lying to my coach, but I was lying to myself. You know, I was ashamed and embarrassed because I wasn't putting in the work. And I just said, that's enough. This is stupid. Like I'm paying $1,000 a month for this coaching thing. I might as well do exactly what they say. Like I was all in at that point. I'm like, I'm going to do exactly what they fucking say for a year. And if it doesn't work, I'll go back to selling TVs. Like that's it. I'm done. Because I didn't really do what they were telling me to do. I know that sounds really stupid, but I wasn't. I was lying to myself and lying to them.
Were you avoiding the confrontation, like of like certain like activities to do, or?
I was afraid of failing, man. I was just afraid of failing. I was afraid that I would try and I wouldn't be any good. I was afraid that I'd be a fraud. But I got over that fear, you know? And what's crazy is then I was afraid of success because then I got to $1 million and I'm like, shit, was that a mistake? Was I a fraud? What am I going to do with the money? Like, what's going to happen now? Like, can I do it again? It's fucked, right? First you're afraid of failing, then you're afraid of succeeding, then you have to stay there. It's just a mind fuck. You might be like, what, you're afraid of succeeding? Yeah. You know, like I didn't know how to deal with it. I had never seen that much money in my life. I was so busy working. I wasn't counting the money. I was just working. Yep. And then all of a sudden you look in your bank account one day, you're like, holy crap, this is generational. Like this is going to change my kid's life and my parents' life. And that's when it got exciting, you know? So, and that's when, you know, the R8 thing and like, you know, bought my dream car and like all this crazy shit started happening that I wasn't exposed to crazy, fancy things when I was a kid. So when you're not exposed to nice things, to shiny things when you're a kid, it's very hard for you to imagine yourself with them. I'd never seen anybody in my family make $1 million. So how do you imagine yourself in that place? My parents never exposed me to that stuff, right? And it's not their fault. They didn't know. Yeah. So it was very crazy. It was a crazy trip, the ride, and it still is a crazy trip.
How do you break through those limits when you think, like when you're fearful of the success or you're fearful of, like you have those limiting beliefs and those doubts because what wasn't normal for you growing up is now something that you don't feel worthy of having? Like, how do you break through those barriers?
I think after the second or third year, I was like, okay, this is legit. Like, I'm actually good at this. You know, like people started, because the true test is not the money in your account. It's the compliments from the clients. It's the way the public thanks you. And, people were like throwing their arms around me and hugging me. And, like, because I helped them, a lot of times I was working with FSBOs and houses that couldn't sell. And I was like, people that had to sell, or they would lose their deposit on their new home. So like a lot of that was my business the first couple of years, because I was going for the hard stuff first because I didn't have a big database. And I think after that, I was getting a lot of acknowledgement from other people. And then I started believing it, because I'm very hard on myself. So it's not like I was patting myself on the back. Like, I'm like, okay, push yourself. How far can this go? But I think it was Karen Bernardi that sat me down, Boulder, Colorado. She sat me down one day and she's like, be kinder to yourself. She's like, you're very hard on yourself. She's like, enjoy the success, enjoy the ride. And that hit me hard, so I sat back, I said, okay, I earned this. I worked my ass off, and I'm not going to stay complacent. I'm going to keep pushing, but it's okay to say I'm proud of myself. Man, it took me like 40 years to say I'm proud of myself. Imagine that. So like, I'm very, very hard on myself. So I think that's what it is.
Well, I think it's all those years of Mike and other big mentors telling us, don't over celebrate. Don't be too excited for too long. Don't spend too much time, up in the clouds. You have to get back to work, right? Like it's a Tim Grover saying, right? It's
yeah.
You can't celebrate too long. You have to get back to work the very next day. So I think we're always afraid of, just that extended celebration, or that extended, off time. Yeah. Does that make sense?
100%. I agree 1,000. And it's funny you say that, bro. I say the exact same thing. Don't celebrate for too long, and don't beat yourself up for too long. Stay in that middle ground. Well, there you go. Like, my dream car was an R8. I thought about that car for 10 fucking years. I told everybody I knew, that is my dream car. Before I'm 40, I'm buying this car.
Yep.
And I saw it when I was watching Iron Man. I look up on the screen, I see it. I'm like, holy shit. Is this is it a concept car? Is it real? I'm like, I got to have this car. And then at 39 and a half, I bought the car. And it was my perfect spec. Like, it was mint. It was gorgeous. It was pretty much brand new. It had like 1,000 miles on it. I had so many mixed emotions when I bought that car. I can't even tell you guys, this is going to sound crazy, but guilt, fear, like, where do I park it? Where do I go? I'd hit a mosquito and I'd pull over. I'm like, shit, like, I got dirt on it. What do I do? What if I can't sell it again? I had never had anything like my first house cost like less than that car. So like, it really messed with me to the point where I sold it 6 months later. What? Biggest fucking mistake I ever made, because the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, I had just hit 40, and a lot of my friends weren't doing well. And I felt like an asshole driving around in a $200,000 car. I didn't feel comfortable. Everything was shut down. Ottawa was hit very hard, capital city, very political and everything. And where was I going with that car? Who did I buy it for? I started questioning myself. Did I do this for me, or did I do it for other people? And I did a lot of self-reflection, and I sold it. No one made me feel bad. It was me. I didn't feel right having it at that time. In retrospect, big fucking mistake, because again, I should have taken my own advice. Like, if that car made anybody feel shitty about themselves or made them, hate on me, that's their problem.
Yeah.
I just need different friends, but I let it get to me. Big mistake, which is why I bought the Lamborghini, because I had the opportunity again, and it was the spec that I loved, and it was a nice car. I'm like, this time I'm enjoying it. I'm actually going to drive it. You know what I mean? I'm actually going to enjoy it, drive it on the weekends, because I don't work weekends anymore, which is a beautiful thing. And, I joined a Lamborghini club. I joined a couple of car clubs, and I'm just enjoying it. And I'm surrounding myself, with people that have similar cars. Yeah. These guys also have Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and it's not about, no one's showing off. It's just normal, because we all just, we're all appreciative of them. So it's just how you deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with the success. There you go. Even at 40 years old, I still didn't know how to deal with the success of having that car. So I'm still learning, I guess.
Can you share the story about the priest blessing the R8? And did he do the same thing with the Lamborghini? I don't know. I'd be curious to know.
He did.
Oh.
Every time I bought a new car, the first thing I do is I go to church and I'd have my priest bless the car. Then I go to my mom. and I show my mom. That's the first two things I do. So I go to church, and Father Alex comes out of the church, and he's like, "Oh my God, beautiful card, Dimitri. I'm proud of you." I'm like, "Thank you, Father." And he takes out the holy water, and he starts like spraying the car, and he's like blessing it. I'm like, "Oh man, could you like, could you not bless like?" Could you bless it with no water? Like, you know? And then he opens the door and starts like throwing the holy water inside. I'm like, oh no, like, I just watched it. You know, like, yeah, I was so nervous, but you know, I was nervous.
I thought the Greeks just throw the change and the dollar bills in the back seat. No,
the priest throws the water.
No, the priest throws the water. Then I go to my mom, and she starts chucking like toonies and like dollar. Like in Canada, our dollar is a coin, and like they're big. And she's like, "Here you go, congratulations." I'm like, "Mom, carbon fiber." Just like, give me $20 bills. And the best part is, I go to my mom's house. She's cooking some, I don't know, meal as always. I go, "Ma, come outside. I want to show you something." She comes outside, brand new R8 sitting there. She goes, "What?" I go, "Look at the car, Ma. It's a sports car." She goes, "Audi, big deal." She goes back in the house.
She was impressed. She just didn't want to act over.
She's like, "Are you staying for dinner?"
Ferrari, it's Audi, big deal, Audi. I'm like, "Ma, it's a very nice Audi. Anyway, you hungry? Come inside. I made food for you." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Why you buy two-seaters?
So how do you not stay humble?
Yeah.
How do you not stay humble like that, right? She's like legit. She's like, "Turn off the engine. It's too loud. Come inside and eat something." So
I love that.
how do you not stay humble around that? It was just hilarious. And yes, I did the exact same thing with the Lambo. Hilarious.
Oh man, good stuff. So let's transition a little bit. So that, I feel like we've got a lot there from, you know, your upbringing, how you started off as a, you know, how you struggled a little bit as an individual agent, how you know, sort of shifted your mindset and became, you know, top producing individual agent. Talk to us a little bit about how you've grown the team, how you've scaled. What are some things that you've done in 2022 to grow your business?
So last year we did over 225 deals. I did 140 myself, and I had two other agents, and it was too much. Like, it was just crazy. Everybody had a crazy year. I know that, but it was too much, man. Like, I was burning out. I got fat. Physically, I wasn't taking care of myself, you know, like, so then before the market corrected, I said, okay, I want to have weekends off again. The money was great, but the quality of life wasn't very good. So I hired more agents. So we were at 3 agents, including myself. Now we're at 5. And I have another assistant. So I have 2 admin, because we did 225 events with 1 admin and 3 agents, including me. It was too much work. It was just insane. So that's what I'm doing. So we went down to we're probably going to hit 165 ends, but the market shifted. Like, Ottawa's down 40%. So I now have the systems and the people in place so that we can handle that business and get us back to 200 ends, hopefully next year. Because I know we can do it, because we did. You know, we just have to adapt and work smarter and double down on prospecting and stick to our schedules. Everybody got a bit complacent last year with the order taking and stuff. It's not like that anymore. And I got in the best shape of my life. You know, like, I lost 38 pounds working out 6 days a week, because I knew that everything is connected. Your physical, your spiritual, your mind, your body. You can't kill it at work and just eat yourself into oblivion. You can't. Like, if you want to do that many deals, you got to be physically strong, because you're going to have, it's a very taxing business, as you guys know, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Yep. So I'm in the best shape of my life at 42 years old, but it was a conscious decision. So I literally said to myself, what if I put everything that I put into my business into my physical health? What would happen? You know, and I did, and amazing things happened. I sought out the best trainer. I sought out the best coaches, and I eat right now, and I sleep right, and I work out like crazy. And so it's not just the work stuff. You know, I'm conscious about relaxing. I don't work weekends anymore. I'm conscious about, I make an effort to be present with every person that I'm with, every interaction. Whereas before, I don't know how present I was being. I think that I was always looking for the next deal, where I think Mike Ferry says it best. Sometimes you can be successful in making a transaction, but fail in making a client. I think that was me. I think I was doing a lot of deals, but I don't know how many clients I was making happy. Whereas now our whole focus is how many clients can we make happy? How many Google reviews can we get? How many 5-star reviews can we get? And the money, it just comes. So it's not money focused anymore. Now it's customer service focused. So I've doubled down on staff. I've doubled down on customer service. and I've doubled down on personal care, making sure that I'm healthy. Because if Uncle DK is not good, nobody's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk to us about your involvement within the team right now. Are you still prospecting every day? Are you still the main listing agent? Are the other agents on the team primarily handling the buy side? What's your involvement on the day-to-day?
Yeah, so I'm still the rainmaker. I still like it. I still enjoy it. I think my goal is in 3 years to be out of production and just run the team. But I still enjoy it and I still like it. So I'm still doing the majority of the listings. I think this year I did 105 listings. And the goal this next year is 120. With that said, I don't have buyer's agents. I encourage my agents to do everything: commercial, residential, listings, buys, leases. I don't care. I want them to do everything. Whereas some people say, you're just a buyer's agent. No, because I like to travel. You know, I go to Greece for a month. I'm here for a month now. If I'm the only listing agent, how are we going to take listings when I go? So that's one of the benefits of having a team, is that my team is so damn good that I can leave and customers don't even know I'm gone. Obviously, it's easier with technology now, like DocuSign and Zoom and whatever. But I'm very blessed in the sense that I have a very, very strong team. We have a very good culture on our team of helping one another. And that allows me to live the life that I'm living now, you know, which is, I really enjoy traveling. It's cold as hell in Canada right now. I'm in Florida enjoying the beautiful weather.
It's a good reason to leave.
So I'm doubling down on that stuff. Yeah.
So DK, you're a wealth of knowledge in terms of sales skills, NLP skills. There's even videos of you training your kids on certain like patterns to use and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm projecting here, but when you're trying to teach somebody all that, you end up giving them like fire hose. How are you like setting up the training so that they can absorb all those skills from you?
My team?
Yeah, for the new agents.
That's a good question. So we have team meetings every Tuesday. We have team chats on WhatsApp. Every time somebody on my team has a valid question or concern, I'll ask them to reserve it for the team meeting, or we'll do a Zoom call. Even if they're physically in the office, we'll do it over Zoom so I can record it and create a library of trainings, because there is a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information. And this business, you got to learn by doing as much as I talk. So I try and give different scenarios, and I try to have them attend my role plays that I do every week with John and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they got to do the work and make mistakes and learn like that. What I have implemented on the team is they have to prospect through Follow Up Boss, which records the calls. And I listen to them. And honestly, within 6 months, they're up and running, because I intensely train them for 6 months where they shadow me. I look at every deal. I listen to every conversation. It's exhausting for me. But 6 months, they're pretty damn good. And, you know, they still have some to learn, but they've met my standard to the point where I trust that they can go on an appointment and crush it without me there. So I think it's a very, very intense onboarding first 6 months where you're right, it's fire hose, but best way to learn.
The agents on your team, are they coming to you with prior experience from other brokerages? Are they coming to you with, right out of real estate school? Who have you had the best success with?
I've had both. When I first started a team, I hired out of necessity. I was so damn busy that I was afraid that the service would suffer because I was spread so thin and I was burning out. So I hired because I needed to hire somebody. That's the worst time to hire someone, right? Now I'm slow to hire, quick to fire. I've got 5 interviews, and I'm obsessed with my interview process because I'm a very trusting person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. So if you're nice and you got a great smile, I'm probably going to hire you. I'm not. Whereas now, because I'm so trusting and I'm so whatever, I always see the good in people, I guess. Now it's like, if you get past those 5 steps and you still screw me, chances are it's rare, right? So like the first interview is meet me at an intersection. I don't tell them why. And I have them meet me at a random intersection, and I have them start door knocking. I'm like, go knock on those doors and see if they want to sell their home. And they're like, what do I say? I'm like, I don't care, just go. And the purpose of that is, do they have the courage? Because guys, I can't teach courage. I can teach you skills, I can teach you scripts, but if they're like, oh my God, I don't know, interview's over, see you later. What do you mean? It's over, we're done. Now, if they knock, they get to the next step, which is an interview with me at the office. And then it's an interview with my team without me to see if they blend in with the team, because synergy is important. Then they have an interview with my MFO coach. And then they have another interview with me. And at the end of that all, either they don't want us or we don't want them. It's very rare that someone doesn't make it the full way, and I don't hire them. So to answer your question, it's hard when you hire people with experience because I have such high standards, and sometimes they have bad habits that are just impossible to break. But if I see, sometimes that's good too, because I find that when I hired people that didn't come from somewhere else, they don't appreciate me or the team.
Yeah.
When they have perspective and they've been on a shitty team with a shitty team leader that doesn't take care of them, doesn't have their back, doesn't respect them, doesn't give them all the tools that I give them, the training materials, the physical office. I have my own office space. It's beautiful. When they don't come from something that's worse, it's very difficult for them to appreciate me and the team. Yeah. I have an agent, for example, on my team, Danny. She's been doing this longer than me, 12 years. She was working for somebody that it didn't work, and it wasn't a very good environment for her, and she was taken advantage of, and it wasn't a positive experience for her. So now she's like, I'm a lifer with you, because she's like, I know what it's like being with someone else. I know what it's like not being treated to this level. Whereas I hired another person and, took him to Vegas. I treat my team well, like very well. Yeah. Person quits. I got it figured out. Like within a year, they made like $180,000. The next year on their own made $25,000, looking to come back. I'm like, no, you're dead to me. You're not going to leave to see if the grass is greener and then come back. It's over. We're done. Because trust is very important to me.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about somebody coming from another environment where it wasn't so good, because just like me, when I worked at that electronics store with that asshole manager, perspective is everything. Yeah. So when you have perspective, you can appreciate things much more.
Yeah. I think what I've learned, similar experience, I prefer the agents who have maybe great salespeople with limited real estate experience, right? We can teach you real estate if you have sales and if you have the courage to knock on doors, like you said. You have the drive, and I don't have to motivate you, but you're motivated. You just show up and say, hey, what can I do? What can I get involved in? But what I'm learning recently is it also does help to maybe get somebody who can do 5 deals at another brokerage. Because if you could do 5 deals and I don't have to teach you the MLS, and I don't have to motivate you, and I could get you to show up and you understand the whole business, you're just not really doing it at a high level, I could get you from 5 deals to 30 deals to 40 deals. So,
bro, you're speaking my language. I agree 1,000%. I say the same thing. As a matter of fact, if you give me the guy doing 5 to 10 deals, they'll do 25, 30 with me.
Yeah.
I love what you just said, because it's exactly what I say to my team.
Yeah.
The willingness to take the action on the activity is the biggest thing, though, in this industry.
They gotta want it.
Exactly. For someone who has experience, they'd think that like meeting at an intersection and door knocking is like DK hazing them, right? And they'd be like, "I'm too good for this. Like, I did 2 deals last year. You're not gonna make me door knock, right?" But a brand new person would be like, "Let's do it." Like, tell me what else.
But somebody who, like, I was thinking again, Fernanda on our team, if you met her at an intersection, she'd be like, "Okay, yeah, which house? How many do I have to do? 10?" And you'd be like, well, we were just thinking 1, but
just I'll beat you. Let's go.
Yeah. And she's like, I saw this guy do it on YouTube. Like, I know what to say. Like, she's like ready. So that's.
You know what gets me excited is people with potential and drive. If I want it more than you, that is not good. You have to want it, man. And that's, I think, what pisses me off more than anything. Like, we're so blessed. We're so blessed to be where we are in the countries that we are, with food on our table, healthcare, running water, all this shit that we take for granted. And people bitch and complain about prospecting, which leads to like endless possibilities and amazing lifestyle. And I laugh. I'm like, I've cleaned buildings, man. I slept in my car between fucking selling TVs and cleaning toilets and shit. I ain't doing that again. I'm never going back. I'm not ashamed. I'm proud of what I did for my family, but I ain't fucking going back.
Yeah.
Why would I? When I have the opportunity. So I think it's a sin for you to be in this situation, to be able to excel where other people dream of being in our shoes. Other people wish they were in our shoes. You know what I'm saying? When you know that, it's a sin to not take advantage of that. You have to do your job at the highest level because other people wish they were in our shoes. We're very blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one last question.
Hit it.
I know we're sensitive on time. I'm stealing this from John because he used to ask this all the time. If you had to give one piece of advice, you're on your deathbed, your kids come up to you and they're like, Dad, give us the keys. What's one principle or advice that you'd give them? You can't give any other advice, whether it's about physical, mental, financial, any of the 5.
If it's my boys, I would just say, always love your brother, because I have 2 sons. And I would, if it was my kids, it would be a different message. It would probably just be like, take care of your brother to each other. But if it was just advice to anybody, I think it would just be like, don't give up, don't give up. Because there's so many times in my life when I wanted to and I didn't, and I was bawling. That same church parking lot where that priest blesses my cars, I used to park there when I was 18 years old bawling because my sister had a brain aneurysm. She almost died. And I was like cleaning buildings at night and selling TVs, dropped out of university. I'm like, that was a very difficult, dark time in my life. And I would go to that parking lot and bawl my eyes out till like 3 a.m. so nobody could see me. And sometimes I'd scream because I had to get it out, but I couldn't let my mom see me because I didn't want her seeing that I was weak because she was already losing her kid. And I couldn't let anyone else see me because I didn't want them thinking I was fucking crazy. I just didn't know how to deal with it. All this shit that was being thrown our way. But I didn't give up. I just look up at the cross and I'd say, why? Why our family? We didn't hurt anybody. We're just simple people. And now I'm like blessed. I'm like, thank you, for giving those challenges to us because we were an example to give strength to other people that are suffering. We were able to take that pain and turn it into something positive. So my sister lived, thank God, and she's married and she has 3 kids. But don't give up.
You gave me goosebumps, by the way, on that. So,
yeah, man,
it's all true, bro. And I legit went to that parking lot a month ago with my Lambo, and I was eating an apple. I was like, I told you, where do I go with it? That's where I go. Like I drive by myself, and I was just like, thank you, thank you for giving me the strength to not give up. And that's what I used to pray for. I used to pray for strength. I didn't pray for it to be easy. I never prayed for it to be easy or for the problems to go away. I just said, give me the strength to deal with the shit that you're giving me. I don't mind. I'll fight that fight. But I need your help with the strength. I don't know where to get it from because my parents were suffering.
What's the Jim Rohn quote? Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Yeah.
Yes, and I wished for that. I wished for myself to get better. I didn't know how to be better, but I hoped through divine intervention that he would show me the way. And I think he did in his own time. I'm just impatient. But eventually everything worked out. But at that time, it seemed really bad. And it seemed like it was not going to get better. But I didn't fucking give up. So never give up. Never.
Wow, man.
That's perfect.
Dude, super, super powerful. I'm aware of our time. I know your time's valuable. I want to make sure that we close that out on a high note. And that was deep, man. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. That was, I think people will find that super powerful. And I'm glad we got to see, some of these episodes turn into such like a, I don't want to say ego thing, but it's how many transactions and how much time and how much more did you make and what did you do with the money? And, I think that it's super helpful and beneficial for people to see the vulnerable side of things. So, yeah.
Can I tell you guys something real quick? And I know you're busy too, but all the transactions, all the cars, all the Rolexes, it's all bullshit. Real wealth, guys, is health. Because at the end of the day, the CEO gets buried right next to the janitor. And we're not taking it with us. So I believe live your life to the fullest. We have an opportunity. We should take advantage of that so we can live a high quality of life and provide that for our friends, our family, and create a legacy. But don't get obsessed with the money and the nice things because we can't take it with us. If you can get it, get it. If it makes you happy, do it. So you're right. I agree with you. Real wealth is your health. 1,000%, because ask a healthy person what success is, and often they'll tell you more money. But ask a sick person what wealth is, and the only thing a sick person wants is to be healthy. That's it.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you with that.
Incredible, man. If anybody wants to reach out to you for referrals or just to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach you? Would you say Instagram?
Yeah, Agent DK on Instagram. That'd be easy.
Awesome.